What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and today we're going to talk about SS Kula, a character that looks absolutely amazing. I mean, I really love what they did with her hair and her eyes. You know, both of them changing color. Like, you're going to see her change her hair to blue, and then her eyes actually turn more red. Just absolutely gorgeous. Great job, Net Marble, on the aesthetics that you did for this character. Now let's talk about the other things about her. So Kula is a blue defensive fighter. She's got that great leadership to increase attack of all fighters by 45%, which is awesome. That means it's going to apply to all the fighters in the game, no matter what color they are, no matter who they are, which is amazing. And I just noticed that my affinity level is level 1. In the testing that I did earlier, I didn't have her affinity leveled up. So let's go ahead and jack it up. There we go. And that's actually very important because whenever you do level up your affinity, you're going to get the extra HP buff, you're going to get the extra attack buff, you're going to gain your rubies, and you're going to get that extra critical damage by 12%. So it's really important to level up the infinity. That's actually pretty funny that I was doing the testing without even leveling up her infinity. And then as far as the cores, I mean, she's got the 30% PG rate, which is wonderful. The increased damage by 18% on a critical hit. That is awesome. She got the increased chill attack damage. She has the decreased cooldown of active skills by 0.3 seconds upon landing a skill on a chilled target. And then she increases chill damage by 120% when K is on the team. So similar to K, you know, K gets an extra 90% increase to his burn. She gets an extra 120% increase to her chill when K is on the team. It's pretty awesome. Then casts a shield that absorbs damage for 7 seconds upon using an active skill, same as K, and removes the shield after being attacked 20 times. She's got a lot of similarities between K. You know, they got the same core passives. They got the increase to their dot effect whenever the other is on the team. The decreased active skills cooldowns, even though the timer's a little bit different for those. But very similar. Both of them have the shield, which is amazing. We all know how powerful the shield is for survivability. And keep in mind, my Kula doesn't even have any capsules on her at all. Now, she's pretty interesting because she does have hyper armor, super armor on her first skill, the same as K. It is an interrupt skill that's limited when you're airborne. So whenever in the air, you can actually use this skill. Or whenever someone grabs, you can use it, which is pretty cool. And then whenever you hit the skill again, you get the increased penetration by 1500 for 7 seconds. And you get a 70% chance to reset it. So it's just like K, actually. They did a lot of similarities between these two characters. And then she has an increased attack by 50% of defense for 7 seconds. And then she applies Cold Spell that equals a 30% of attack every 1 second, which is pretty awesome. And this lasts for 8 seconds. So it's an 8-second dot, which is really nice. So whenever you want to apply dot, you got to make sure that you hit a first skill twice. The same as K, you got to hit it twice to apply the Infernal Flame. And then the second skill deals chill damage equal to, the second skill increases target damage received by 30%, and then frees the enemy for 3 seconds upon landing a skill, and guard included in. Now this is actually going to be really good for what we're going to do today, because we're going to be taking on Immortal Typhon, which whenever he gets frozen, he actually kind of sits there for a little bit, and characters that have weak survivability actually have a lot more survivability as long as you have a freeze character on the team. So Kula is actually very valuable. Now there are other characters that can do this. I mean, the regular Kula can do this. Halloween Kula can do this. I mean, there are other characters that can do this. Merlin can do this. But, you know, the fact that this is going to be an SS character, she's just going to have a lot more damage, a lot more power. She builds up her 3PG super fast. And then her third skill has dot explosion, but this is a really powerful dot. Deals chill damage equal to 2.6 times of remaining chill damage, which is awesome. But, you know, like with any dot explosion, it removes the chill after you apply it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. But then her default actually applies chill damage for 10 seconds, which is awesome. That is nice. That's really going to be extremely good for Spider Robot, because in Spider Robot you need chill and shock to weaken the Spider Robot so you're able to do more damage. So she actually might be really good for the Spider Robot just because of that. But unfortunately mine's only level 10, so it's not really worth testing right now. But the fact that she can do a 10-second dot, whenever you switch to your next character, there's still going to be chill applied. And while you're using your other damage dealer after you switch, it's going to make a big difference. Honestly, that's pretty damn awesome that she has that. That is nice. I mean, they gave her 10 seconds, and they gave K 8 seconds for the flame on his default. So as far as Imprint Stones, you know, some people are going to say use attack stones. Some people are going to say use defensive stones. You can see that I opted to go for defensive stone because in the past, whenever I tested these characters that only have attack based off defense, they have no other attack buffs whatsoever in their kit, like Kula, they did better with defensive stones. Now, if you decided to put attack stones on her, that would be just fine also, because in the testing that I've done before, the difference was minor. It wasn't a big, huge, massive difference, but I do think that you're probably better off going with defensive stones on Kula, at least in my humble opinion, because one, it's going to make her tankier. She's going to increase her defenses, and she doesn't have any decreased damage received, nothing like that in her kit, except for the shield, right? The shield is her main means of survivability, and whenever that shield isn't up, she could take a good amount of damage, and having that increase to defenses will make her a bit tankier. But since her only attack buff is based off defense, she has no other attack, she doesn't have any increased attack buffs at all, except for the second skill, increase your attack based off defense. I think it's just better to go for defensive stones. And the first stone, does give her the decreased enemy defense by 20% for 4 seconds when using a special signature fighter lane active skill. And then, of course, the double attack by 10%. And as far as cards, I opted to go for the K because K synergizes really well with defensive characters, bumping up their attack based off of defense. And then, of course, we're using the Kula option card. Now, if you transcended this card and then got an increase to defenses, or maybe even an increase to attack to defensive fighters, or increase to chill damage, that'd be pretty sick for Kula. It's really risky, whenever you're leveling up a card like this for a specific character, just like what I mentioned with K's option card in the previous video. Now, I don't have Kula's 3PG. If I did, we'd be able to do a lot more damage, because that damn thing, take a look at it here, because this thing deals an additional chill damage equal to 200% of attack upon landing harmony and conflict. And the thing about this thing is it's a long 3PG, so it's just going to stall the timer. It's going to allow your other fighters to do a lot more damage. So keep that in mind when you're watching the run that we're going to be doing today. If she had that 3PG, she would do more damage, and she'd be able to stall the timer to allow your other fighters to do more damage over time. Now, she's not going to be a guild raid character because she just does chill damage, and I really think that you just probably are going to have better options as far as characters that you're going to use for guild raid. Now, if there ever is a chill that's applied to guild raid, which very well could happen in the future, then she's going to be pretty much a god, because she's going to have that 10-second chill on that default. That is just insane. And then she's got the 8-second increase to chill on her first skill when you hit it twice. Looks like my software update is ready to install. So we'll take on the Moral Typhoon, and we're going to use these 3 characters. Now, Zero does have the 3PG from BS0, but we're just going to be using Rio. I'm just going to show you guys how well she performs just with this team up. And we got Rio here. He's got the, Akane set on him, and then, he doesn't even have any imprint stones on him at all. And this is what I mean by, like, having Freeze character on a team, it's going to kind of stun lock this boss to where your characters that have weak survivability, like Rio, I mean, he has terrible survivability, but he's going to easily be able to stay alive during this because she's just going to keep freezing him with her second skill. Not to mention increasing the target's damage received by 30%, which is pretty awesome. And then Zero here, as far as imprint stones, he just has 2 imprint stones, or I'm sorry, 3 imprint stones, 2 recoveries. I mean, I have him built pretty much for Immortal Vulcan. Having healing stones on a blue fighter really does help if they don't already have a heal. And we are using the Leah set on this guy. And Kula, you guys already seen the builds, so let's see how well they do. Now, I did a couple runs earlier with Kula. And the thing about this boss is you want to apply as much chill damage as possible on the first team. And the thing about Kula is she has that dot explosion, and it actually will remove the chill every time you apply it. So there's an argument to be made as to how you would want to play Kula. And earlier, I did a couple different runs where I used Kula, and I did a run where I used her dot explosion, and then I did a run where I didn't use her dot explosion. And I can tell you that it seemed like we did more damage on the second team whenever we didn't use the dot explosion. But you're going to do more damage on the first team if you do apply the dot explosion. So that is something to keep in mind. Something else to keep in mind is, if as far as Kula's 3PG. It's really short, but it does, or this 3PG, but it does apply freeze, right? So she's actually getting double freeze here. Now here's something that's nice. Her default's really long, so I actually don't mind at all if she does apply that default, because one, it's going to apply chill. We want to use the 3PG for 0 here. It's going to apply that chill, and that's really going to help us do a lot of damage here. All right, come on, come on. But you got to make sure that you hit Kula's skill twice. And, you know, I've seen some comments regarding K where, you know, some people felt like, you know, like they don't really like the second skill because it's like, it can be a little annoying to play with. And I totally understand that. I do. It's a new mechanic, right? And some people just don't like it. And it really is a lot easier when you can just run through and spam your skills. But for me, I kind of like it because it forces you to, you know, kind of think about what you're doing when you're playing. I'm just going to go ahead and use that 3PG, even though I really want to spam. Now you see Rio here, he's about ready to croak, man. He's about ready to croak. Like I said, his survivability is bad. Oh boy, oh boy. And really, it might be better if I was using Rio's 5PG, actually. But this is really all about Kula and just showing, you know, what she can do. Now, I might test the whole theory about, you know, applying chill on the first team and not using that dot explosion compared to using the dot explosion as far as what's actually better, because I do think that you're probably better off to just apply chill on that first team. Now we did 156 million damage. I actually had a better run earlier where I did, you know, almost 200 million damage on the first team. It's really going to depend on, you know, where your awakened skills lie as far as when you're doing your damage. But Kula is actually a pretty amazing character. And, you know, and I do believe that Kula and Kay are really designed probably more for PvP than they are for PvE. That doesn't mean they're not good in PvE. They're definitely good in PvE. They're amazing. You know, she's going to be awesome here. Even if you're just using, oh, my software update's ready to install. Even if she's, you know, you don't use a PG rate leadership and you're just using her leadership to increase, you know, attack to all fighters, that's still going to be really great because, you know, on the first team, all you're really trying to do is apply as much chill as possible. That's really all you're trying to do. And the fact that she has 30% PG rate is pretty awesome. And Zero there's actually got 30% PG rate. And if you had another blue fighter, I mean, if you had Rugal, that'd be nuts, right? On that first team. I mean, I could have done a lot more damage on that first team if I really wanted to. But I just kind of wanted to showcase Kula. And you can see her survivability is actually pretty amazing. And it's really, I mean, against Immortal Typhon, it doesn't really show how good her survivability is because he does get kind of stun locked whenever he gets frozen. And he's getting frozen throughout this entire fight because her second skill keeps freezing him. And her 3PG was freezing him. So you don't really get a good accurate representation of her survivability. It's actually really, really great. Very good. That shield is just so powerful on these characters. And as far as where I'd rank Kula, like, the thing about Kula is, I mean, she's going to be facing these other guys right here, right? I mean, we got a blue attack, we got a blue balance, and then we got a blue defensive fighter. And, you know, Ignis to me is still going to be on top. He's still going to be the #1 blue. And, you know, whenever you compare Rugal and Kula, I think Kula, I mean, she definitely has way better survivability. There's no doubt in my mind that it's better than Rugal. But Rugal's damage is going to be higher than hers. I mean, that's the thing. You got one or the other. You got one with insane damage. You got one with insane survivability, right? And that's kind of the thing. But I do think that Kula has a little bit more utility because she has explosion. So she's going to be really good for Nyx. And she's going to be good for Immortal Mos, right? And she has chill and freeze. So she's actually really good for Immortal Typhon too. So, I mean, there's 3 dungeons that you could actually use her for. And Rugal, he's a damage dealing monster, but he can, I mean, he can die pretty easy, man. All he has is a decreased damage received stone on him from the original BS stones. And I don't even have one of them stones on because I have him built strictly as a damage dealer. I have different stones on him, so he actually can die pretty easy. But the way that I play him, I really don't have too much of a problem keeping him alive. So really, I put, Kula and Rugal kind of like back and forth as far as where they belong. It's really going to depend on your perception. As far as utility, I'd have to give it to Kula. I do think she's a better character than him as far as utility, but as far as raw power damage, I got to give it to Rugal. So let me know how y'all feeling about SS Kula. Man, I think she's awesome, and I really love, her aesthetics. So she's just a beautiful, beautiful character. And I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GMT plus 7 time. The link will be in the description below. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See ya.